We're gonna run it hard, we're gonna run it deep, and we're gonna run it often.
Let's go!
Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Ridiculously Professional. What is up, Branson?
What's going on? Stoked to do another one.
Yeah, we're gonna run it hard, we're gonna run it deep, and we're gonna run it often. You know, do you remember JP Longball? That was if for all my baseball players out there, that was an actual motto for JP Longball, which was an indoor batting facility. Run it deep, hit it hard, and hit it often. That was
I
just great marketing.
That's gonna be my next LinkedIn post. Honestly, I think everybody else is doing this wrong.
Well, it's provocative, you know, and one thing we've learned in our research, Branson, is I feel like good marketing is provocative. You know, it makes you think. It's like, hey, I didn't mean that in a weird way, but you might have taken that in a little bit of a weird way.
It's on everybody else. It's their fault, honestly.
Clearly. Well, we're gonna dive into it. We got a good show today. We have 4 segments. That's gonna be we're gonna start with tech report, AI intervention, thoughts on leadership, and sales talk. We're gonna put 5 minutes on the clock as always. Branson, let's just for those new listeners out there, what is this show about? What exactly are we doing with this?
For everybody that's been here with us before, thanks for joining us again. Stoked to see you. For anybody that's new, Ridiculously Professional is a unconventional business show for the people that are making it happen. We give all of our takes on areas that can help your career, that can help you build a business, that might not be out there in the normal world right now because things are changing quickly. We're in the trenches and we want to help you guys out with it too.
Yeah, I love that. And Branson, I was recently making a LinkedIn post, and check this out real quick before we dive into our first section. This post came up today, and this all leads back right into what we're talking about here. So bear with me. This person posts about some things that sales account executives shouldn't be doing in their demos, right? And it was a list of 10 things, and there was 10 bullet points. Now, when you go into the comment section, there was a bunch of people commenting like, "Oh, I completely agree with this," or "That is just such a great point," and a lot very sycophantic behavior, if you will. And then I go in and I realize while I'm looking at this post, Branson, the numbers go 1, 4, 5, 3, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. And no one pointed this out, right? Yeah. So I go into the comment section. I was like, "Hey, I really like the spot about the specific point about not selling with slide decks, but I'm having some trouble focusing on this post because the bulleted numbers are all over the place, right?" So the lady responds and she says, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You're the first person to notice that." Branson, there were hundreds of comments and no one said anything, right?
Yeah.
So my point here is that's ridiculously professional. And if you're someone on LinkedIn who's not just saying blindly, "I agree with everything you say," and you actually want to maybe have a point or have a take or spark a conversation or spark an actual connection, this show is for you. And that moment in LinkedIn just kind of made me think about that.
I actually did that with somebody else the other day, but then I thought they were doing it on purpose because the post is about curiosity. So I thought that the whole point was to get into it. But yeah, I'm with you on really reading what's going on and joining in anytime you can help out.
Yeah, maybe just a healthy dose of challenging the norms, bringing a fresh perspective to the table, and ultimately staying up to date with what's going on in the tech world. That's what we're all about, and we're going to dive right into it. So I got something for tech report. Let's put 5 minutes on the clock and
get into it.
Let's get into it.
The tech report.
So for those who don't know, too, we always put 5 minutes on the clock. We try to keep this show 30 minutes. We know you all have a life to live and are very busy with work. So we just stick to our segments here and get right into it. So Branson, with the tech report, the big story that's happening right now is Clay with the $3 billion valuation. So Clay just that $3 billion. That's we talked about $4 trillion on the last one. Now we're at
money they make.
now we're at $3 billion with Clay. My favorite part about this one, Branson, I want to hear your take because maybe you can explain to people exactly what Clay is, what's led to this, what position they're opening up for the market. But my favorite thing in the news article is like Clay. How does the person say it? They say Clay describes their ICP as a marketing engineer. And I thought that was really funny because we know what GTM engineers is, and that's a huge thing, but maybe we should take a step back and kind of explain the story to a GTM engineer and how Clay has sparked this. But it was as if even the writer wasn't quite sure exactly what this position is and like
Yeah.
how a company could be valued at 3.1 billion and not really even know exactly what this customer fit is. So I think this is all tied in, but let's start there. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts? Let's talk about that.
Number one, okay, so clay is, I think the easiest way that I've explained to people to me is clay is like if you had Excel sheets that gave you step-by-step sequences for outreach. Clay sets that up where you can go and research people, create outbound sequences, sending out emails, building all in step by step. To me, that's the easiest way to explain clay. Why it goes to your GTM, go to market piece of where they would say is marketing or go to market is it's a really, I guess, integral tool to be able to get your message out to the market because you can hook things in like intent-based, you know, you can hook like intent-based products like RB2B will tell you when people are coming to your website. Now you can hook that in through a API connection into Clay, and you'll be able to research those people, figure out if they are in your ICP, and then tailor messages for that. Um, yeah,
So what do you think? So they just got their series. That was a perfect explanation of it too. Like it's
yeah.
a data harvester at the end of the day, finding leads. And what so their Series C was 100 million, putting them at a 3.1 billion valuation. Where do you think this is going? Like, Branson, do you think this is another case of PEs and VCs overfunding a company that may not work out? Or is this pushing into kind of a new frontier of how we approach client acquisition in tech?
Man, that's a heavy one. I mean, for this, I think that the VCs are giving them enough money that they can stay way ahead and purchase up any sort of competitor that even gets close to them. So they'll just keep running. I mean, the goal is to go public. They're kind of creating their own loop, basically. Like if we say it's worth $1 billion and then we say it's worth 3 billion and then now we say it's worth 10 billion, then it's clearly a good investment. We could get into the what do you call it, the pieces of VCs and them getting out when it's at 10 billion and everybody else getting left with the bag, but that's where I think this is going overall.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think like Clay's a really powerful tool. I think it's certainly scalable. There's a lot of people using it right now. It is very expensive because my understanding is the way that they are getting their, their data is a high overhead to them. I don't know the exact ins and outs of it. That in and of itself could probably be a whole segment. But at the end of the day, there's also opportunity. Like for example, I work in an industry that sells to marine tourism operators. And their information isn't really on Clay tables. And this is no diss at Clay in any way, but I do understand that a lot of these data harvesting tools really use LinkedIn as where they're getting all their information. But there's a lot of industries out there that aren't really active on LinkedIn. So I'd be curious to see, like, I'd be more interested in Clay after this first kind of like hype round, which has been a great tool for account executives, sales teams, marketing teams to find leads and hit them. I would like to see them to like further expand their reach. And that's the timer going off. So here, this will be our closing thought before going to the next one. I would like to see them further expand their reach and use different scraping mechanisms and processes to get more leads that can serve more industries. Because right now, if you're an account executive or a seller who just isn't selling into, LinkedIn active profiles, it's not the best tool. And that's just the fact of the matter. But that doesn't mean it's not worth the 3 billion valuation, 100 million round C funding. So big congrats to them. That's big news coming up from the GTM field. And pretty much at the end of the day, all we're seeing is more go-to-market engineering jobs posting pretty much every single day. So definitely seems like it's here to stick around.
Yeah, and I want to throw out actually, if anybody has any ideas that maybe we're not thinking of on how to use Clay to reach out overall, we'd love to hear them so that way we can get even further in on the best way to use Clay.
That's right. Drop them in the comments. Let's hear your thoughts. That's Tech Report. We're going to put 5 minutes back on the clock. For those who are excited about AI intervention, we are going to talk about AI. Branson's going to lead this section. Branson, what do you have for us this week on AI?
So there's a lot of big things that are happening in AI. I would say one of the biggest ones is agent, and I've seen a lot of people writing about it because for people that don't know, agent is basically giving ChatGPT control of your computer to go and do a whole bunch of tasks.
Well,
So people are using this to go do like research, book trips, go through the whole, kind of cycle of things. And I think it's bringing up a lot of different pieces on what I guess this is always, when new technology gets brought to market is should your regular consumer be using and what should developers or people that are, a little more, I guess, aware of the challenges of beta testing. I guess it's not technically beta, but still like, entry level testing.
mm,
And so I think that talking about agent and, its capabilities is great, but also talking about the dangers of not just this piece, but everything that people are using for AI, because I think everybody's getting a little loose with the stuff that they're feeding AI. And so that's what I wanted to talk about in this is how to really assess the tools, knowing what's actually going on with your AI, what the type of information it's keeping, what it's feeding you, and knowing probably shouldn't be an early adopter because it could have really big impacts on your company.
yeah, and maybe even on your personal life, like on
Yeah.
you as an individual. I saw a really interesting post recently about AI, and it came from the mind of I think it was like a Gen Z data scientist early in their career, and they were talking about how one thing that they find really fascinating about AI is how most people are looking at it right now is that it's like a better way to Google search. So it's just like, you know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
this person's point is that, hey, you are missing the big picture here. Like that's not what AI is all about. Now it could be a new way to, you know, essentially browse the web, find information, build, agendas, itineraries, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it than just like treating ChatGPT like a Google search bar, right?
Yeah, well, and I think, okay, so this is something we were talking about too, is understanding large language models. We talked about this kind of on the last show, is that I think a lot of people think that when they're putting information in, that it's researching for them. That's why they're using it instead of Google. The problem is it's actually predicting the next best answer. And I know this because we were just building a website and I went for 45 minutes with ChatGPT asking it, I wanted something that was easy to drop HTML in, doing all these pieces. I spent the money for the website just to check, run it, and it didn't do any of the things that ChatGPT told me it did. And then I wrote it and said, I thought that we went over all this. And it was like, oh yeah, that's my bad. And then it gave me another suggestion, which I went through all the things and same thing happened again. So I think this goes back to the challenges of, yes, you could use it kind of like a Google, but also it's not. Google is built as a search algorithm. This is built as a language predictor. So they're completely different tools overall.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And back to your original point on agent.
Yep.
What is your final like closing thoughts? Like what could and on this conversation that we're having right now, what is like the best use someone could have for AI right now and using an agent, maybe using ChatGPT? Like what is the best use of LLMs right now?
That's okay. So I would say, I think that it's really great for bouncing ideas off of and getting things maybe creatively that you didn't think of before. But I think that you also have to, I think discernment is the main thing people need to understand is it's going to give you ideas, it's going to give you information, and then you're going to need to be the filter to decide if it's good or not.
100%. Well, that was our timer for AI intervention. We're going to move on to the next segment as just a takeaway. Just be careful how you're using AI. Go at it with like a brain of curiosity. Don't go at it with a brain of reliance. Because everyone's trying to figure out exactly how to use this tool effectively. So, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of pain. My mother always said. So, this is a good use case for that one.
Yeah.
I want to take a quick second to just give a little shout out. We love always talking about sports. I know there's some people out there who talk about sports. For just 1 minute, we're just going to talk about there is a big event coming up, the FedEx Cup playoffs. Anyone who's been following golf has been seeing what Scotty Scheffler has been up to and been doing lately. And he had a really hot take, Branson. I don't know if you saw this. He had a really hot take about a week and a half ago, basically saying like he doesn't get fulfillment from life from playing golf. He's all about, his wife, his son, his family first, which I thought that was a really cool take to see from someone at the top. And if you look at the lens of golf, someone like Tiger, was very, very, maybe a little bit different in terms of his priorities when he was at the top. Yeah. But Branson, this sparked a really hot take from Tom Brady, who reached out and on his podcast, Let's Go, basically said, why can't it be both and? To Scotty Scheffler's point, like, family over golf. And I just thought that was a really interesting take. Like, there's a lot of conversation about it. It kind of makes sense coming from Tom Brady with what happened with Giselle and his family and his just like commitment to the football career and greatness. But anyways, I just think it's a fresh take. Kind of what Scotty Scheffler's been talking about. And it's something I bring this up, Branson, because it's something to remember in our professional lives too. At the end of the day, what's most important? And, that's the relationships that we have, the connections that we make. We're seeing people be really successful with this on LinkedIn by going into just LinkedIn with that kind of mindset. So I wanted to bring that up as just like a hot little minute. Yeah. You have any thoughts or any takes on that? Have you been following along the drama here?
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I thought of was I watch a lot of Tiger Woods edits on TikTok, but I watch the John Daly Tiger Woods edits. And I watch Tiger, how he's like, I wake up, at 2 in the morning and I do all this. And then John Daly's like, I don't know, I have a couple whiskeys, then a cigarette, then I don't know, maybe I'll make it out to the course.
Just pop a Diet Coke, start the day.
Yeah. My point is that I think that everybody's got their own thing, and if whatever works for you, I think is the thing. He says, "Why not both?" I mean, that's fine if you're Tom Brady, but Scotty Scheffler doesn't want Tom Brady's life. So, like, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess for some guys, they want different stuff, and different things will get you there. Because Tiger has also said that if he had the talent that John Daly had, he wouldn't do any of that stuff. He'd be doing John Daly stuff.
Yeah, it's a great point. And the thing to remember too is like on the note of Scotty Scheffler, he's on the cusp of a Gen Z and millennial,
Yeah.
right? He's just a couple years away, or like really just one or two from being a Gen Z. So I just love it, man. I just like the new takes to sports, kind of
Yeah.
the evolution of the GOAT mindset. It's not just one way or the highway. There's so many different ways to be a GOAT. And it's a refreshing take in my opinion to see Scotty. But I want to just do a quick minute on that. That was top of mind. And hope it was good for all the people who follow golf out there. And if you don't, still a great story about just being the greatest, right? And worth checking out. So we'll put 5 minutes on the clock, and I think it's time for some sales talk, right?
Perfect.
Cool.
Into it.
Honestly, yeah. So for this episode of Sales Talk, for this segment of Sales Talk, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, and it made me think about going into a demo. And sometimes you just don't know what you're going to do going into a demo. Maybe you can't find any information on this prospect that you're about to have this meeting with. And this doesn't just apply to like a tech salesperson. I mean, this could be an attorney. This could be a consultant. Heck, this could even be a doctor who has a new client, potential, care client coming in to, be there. Oh God, I'm missing for, like your main doctor, your go-to
Primary care
primary care physician. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you just don't really, you're going to be going in blind and you don't really know what you're going to say or do. And it just made me think like, wow, that's like sales is kind of like that, and how you wing it. And the techniques you bring to the table when you are winging it can be the difference between, making a sale, getting a new connection, getting a new client, or getting back to the drawing board. So, Branson, question for you:
Yeah.
when you feel like you're winging it, um, and this isn't not necessarily from, oh, I just realized I had some food in my teeth. Not necessarily from not necessarily from, lack of preparation, just in the case of, like, something happened and you're winging it. What are some of the, like, tips, tools, tricks you use, to get, like, your head in the game, so to speak, and try to read this person very quickly and get a good flow going?
Yeah. I'm going to preface it by saying I've been doing sales for a long time. So I think a lot of this stuff is second nature because you got it.
I got it. I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't distracting. I was trying to smooth that in quickly. Sales for a long time, second nature.
Yeah, been running for a long time. So a lot of this is second nature where I just pick up and go. I think that paying attention is always the thing. I think that a lot of people, when they're getting ready for demos, they're doing all this, they're thinking about themselves. And I think that that's why they get frustrated that they're not prepared, is because they're thinking about them. And I would say that switching it back to the client or the prospect and asking them, like, I don't like literally just asking them questions about them. Hey, I saw you. How long have you been in business? I checked it out. It looks like it's been a while. How long is it exactly? Using kind of like, you could use vague questions to really bring it into that. So that way they start the conversation going. And I think from there, you'll be able to pay attention and see what the vibe is, what they want to do. If they're very short with that, then you can just skip over everything and then start hopping. Hey, I just want to, get a little background real quick, but I noticed that we're both short on time, so let me hop into this. So I think that you can start by asking questions about the person, see how they're feeling overall, and then take it in a direction from there.
Yeah, I love that. There's kind of two areas my mind goes with what you just said. One is just curiosity.
Yeah.
You can't really teach that either. That's just like something you need to, yeah, go to the local cafe, go to the local wine bar, I don't know, go to the local market, and just try sparking conversations with random people. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like the best practice.
Yeah.
I don't know, Branson. I feel like as people who've been in sales for a while, like that feels like second nature almost now, being able to just like make a comment and dive into a conversation. But curiosity is like where you need to come from to really make that connection with people. Like genuinely curious
Yes.
about their condition, what they're going through, any pain points, genuinely curious about their story. You said something in the beginning there that's like, hey, like let's just start with like, dude, congrats on having an awesome business and getting to a point that you can have different choices for this particular software, and we can even have this meeting. Tell me a little bit about the story of how we got here today. Like, where did your business start? What went
Yeah.
right? What problems did you solve to get to the point that you have options like this today? And that can be a great way. Another thing, I had a colleague once that, his go-to thing in sales was he would always find out what city that he's, who he's talking to. Obviously, that's really easy to find out these days. And he had, I kid you not, Branson, he had a sports hat for every single city.
Huge. Yeah.
It was such a like, so hey, if you're in Pittsburgh, he's throwing on that Steelers hat or that Pirates hat or that Penguins hat, right? I just realized the Pirates and the Penguins in Pittsburgh are all peas. Side note, that's my ADHD kicking in. But you know what I mean? Like, I just thought that was such a good, oh, talking to someone in San Diego, have a Padres hat on.
Yes.
Just small things like that. You don't really need to do a lot of prep for. Now, we're not promoting not doing prep for your meetings, but in the situation, I hear the bell going off. So final closing thought, in the situation when don't really know what to do, maybe find one little thing to stick out, whether it's like wearing a sports hat from where the person is from or something like this, and genuinely just be curious. Just be curious about this person. Like treat it like you're meeting someone new at the local wine bar or the local deli, right? And you're just picking up a conversation. Don't go into it thinking like you need to act or say things that you think you should say. Just be yourself. Be curious. have some fun with it, right?
I actually want to expand on that. I know we're at the end, and normally but I think that it actually goes into the leadership section. Something that you said that I feel like people need to, anybody that's like coming into sales, anybody that's been in it for a while, maybe they don't even recognize, is when you're hearing all these sales gurus say like, do this, do this, do this. Just actually being curious and caring is like the easiest way. If you want to know, like, how could I be curious? Like, actually be curious.
Just do it.
So I think that if you are naturally curious just because you really want to know about people, you really want to see, you know, if it's not, again, it's not about you, it's about like trying to figure out how you can help. I think that's a huge piece, is to not think about the win, and also not think about the strategy or the whatever you want to call it. Like actually think about, at the end of this call, the best thing that I'm going to get is I'm going to learn more about this person, maybe, you know, make a good connection. Maybe I'm going to learn something that I didn't know about this industry or this business. And that is the win in the end, versus the close always.
Yeah, and I feel like honestly, it takes a playbook from Scotty Scheffler being the GOAT, like just not being super focused on winning tournaments. It's like it comes to you when you're in a good headspace and you're going at it with the right things. Um, so I love that, but putting all together. Now, before we put our final 5 minutes on the clock and we hit AI, I'm sorry, thoughts on leadership. Quick segment. We're gonna take like 30 seconds to a minute max to talk about LinkedIn lunatics. Branson, we have to do this because we bring up LinkedIn so much and we spend some time on it, so it's important to get like the whole story of LinkedIn. Hot take LinkedIn post I saw recently. This guy was trying to explain to everyone why you need to fire everyone at your company every 12 months to be successful. And maybe there were some interesting points within that post, but like that was just rage bait all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's an example of like maybe you did make it to the top, but unlike Scotty Scheffler, maybe you're just like lonely and you have no one in your life now, and you just burned all your bridges and connections and just used people to get there.
Yeah.
So sure, maybe that's a way to get to the top, but I don't know, it doesn't really stick with me on that one.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's rage bait that they're just trying to get. I actually think this about the rage bait stuff is like, at what cost? It's the same sort of thing. Like, cool, you got a whole bunch of likes, you got a whole bunch of attention, but also people think that you're insane, and you might be insane, but who wants to think, is that a good trade-off? Like, I don't really get it.
100%. Dude, I mean, George Lucas had this pretty spot on. We talked about Star Wars last episode, so let's bring Star Wars into this episode. Like, sure, yeah, being Jedi and Sith can bring power to your life, but
Yeah.
like at what cost does each side
100%.
bring the power? So that was just fun. More LinkedIn lunacy to come. But we'll put 5 minutes on the clock, and we'll have our closing segment here. One of our favorite, honestly, and when we like to keep it really real and really try to help new leaders, people who want to be leaders out there. We're gonna have thoughts on leadership. Branson, take us away.
So my thoughts on leadership is actually, it kind of goes back to the listening to gurus about different things. I think that anybody coming in, especially if you're younger, I think you should understand that a lot of these people come from a different generation than you do. And so you should take everything that they say with a grain of salt, even us, because they might not see the world the way that you see the world. And what made me think about it was people are spending tons of time on trying to figure out how to craft their message and how to talk and how to do all this, but they're not spending time thinking about themselves and their own brand. And I mean, I'll call it a brand, but I mean like themselves and how they are out there. And I think that it's really important for leaders to, did you hear that?
Yeah, no, you're good. It was good timing. Like it was getting really real there, and then we needed like a reality check to make sure you weren't just an AI bot saying.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that people just need to like, realize that in what I'm noticing, especially from a lot of younger people, is people don't really, they care about who they're talking to, who they're buying from. They don't care about that it's always polished and perfect all the time. And probably if I'm running this to a full direction, context is a lot of the message. And so instead of trying to figure out the perfect ways to say things or do things, worry that the person that's saying them is in a good place and is a good, is what you want them to be. Because at the end of the day, people are going to go research you, they're going to talk to you, and they're going to buy from you. So worry more about being good yourself and less about, I don't know, making everything perfect on the outside.
Yeah, I really like this, and it's almost it's kind of like, don't rely on the brand behind you as much. Like, now it's really important to obviously have a good brand behind you and, trust your market, but I feel, especially in the lens of sales, I feel like maybe people felt like just a number for a big company. Like, maybe if you worked for Salesforce or Oracle or Databricks or something, like, those big brands probably felt like because their brand was so strong that they could bring in anybody and replace them and have them in the seat and kind of doing their thing, right, really quickly, and it takes away the power of the individual. And I don't know, Branson, I've been saying it a lot lately, but I feel like what you're saying is a newer shift that's starting to come into play. But it's like, wait, that can be both and. So you can be someone who works for a big brand and
Yes.
relies on that brand, but you can also build your own personal brand with that brand behind you. I actually want to shout out someone. I am blanking on his name right now. Maybe if I scroll my LinkedIn profile super quickly, he might pop up because I've been seeing a lot of his stuff. But he's an AE over at Gong, and Gong's a huge platform. I'm not finding his name, but I will give him a shout out when I can. But this guy's a really good example of just being really active on LinkedIn and sharing things from a lens that just comes from his eyes. But he's also selling Gong as a product. And to your point, even like bringing it back into sales talk, this might make you a better prospect to a prospect because you might actually be known now. Like
For that,
that
yeah.
person, yeah, that person might have seen something you posted or heard about you, which in theory will help you sell many different brands instead of just relying on the one big one that you're trying to sell. So it makes you, correct me if I'm wrong here, Branson, but focusing on your brand makes you kind of a top tier player in the game too, and perhaps you can have more power over where you go and what
Yeah.
brand you sell as a seller.
Yeah, I think that what made me think about that is as we're entering this, we talk about this like the like with the product like growth, and everybody's already researched you, like your product. If
Yeah.
if you're a seller, it's great to be focusing on the fundamentals, but people probably already know everything they need to know, and a lot of the times they're going to hop into a demo because they want to see uh, if you're going to tell them the truth, number one. Number two is if how hard the process is going to be, and if you're going to like help push them through that process. They want to know about the person that's guiding this thing along more than they want to know all the things about your product, because they already did most of that research on their own.
100%.
So I think that it's showing you who you are, how you operate is actually going to be huge just for everybody overall.
I love it. And I hear the timer going off, and so this is a great segue into one. Thank you everyone for listening. That will do it for another episode of Ridiculously Professional. Let's get back to your business lives here. But we're gonna have our next guest on the show, Greg Fisher. This was a great segue from our thoughts on leadership. Someone who has really embraced building the personal brand and business brands at the same time to find success in niche industries. I work with Greg Fisher. He's the CEO of the company that I'm the director of sales for. So really happy to have him on the next show. Everyone's going to want to check this one out. It is going to be a big one. Branson, what are some of your closing thoughts to our viewers out there?
Closing thoughts are keep learning AI, everything about it, everything you can. It's going to be huge just in personal development. Keep putting yourself out there, show up every day, treat social media like the gym, and keep having a good time and work towards the life that you want, not the life that you think you want.
Hit it long, hit it hard, hit it often, baby. That does it for another episode of Ridiculously Professional. Thank you for tuning in. Follow, subscribe, like us on all socials at Ridiculously Professional. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Peace.